Welcome to the AACS Daily News. On Wednesday, we gave you an update on what Mayor Paul Heroux hopes to accomplish in his second term. There was too much to share within that one segment. Here is the second part of our interview.
So one of the biggest things that I spent a lot of time on in my first term, and will continue to do so in my second term, is the downtown revitalization. We have several projects underway that are being approached differently than had been in the past. And that's through a collaboration of the Attleboro Redevelopment Authority, along with hiring an economic development director, a renewed relationship with the Chamber of Commerce. And so when you bring all these things together, you actually are able to do things that we didn't do in the past. We're also seeking different incentive programs with the state that we could implement here in Attleboro. That way we can help nascent businesses grow and come here. So there's a lot of things going on the Union Street District. The Union Street District has two large factory buildings on the odd side of the street. Those are going to be turned into residential apartment units and condos, and the old Kidstown building is going to get torn down, and that will become a parking lot for some of those apartments and condos that are going in those two factories on the odd side of the street. On the even side of the street, there's the tallest building on that side of the street, which is 54 Union Street. That is going to be under new ownership very soon. The planning board just approved some permits for some development of, I think, about 30 different apartment units in that building. That's just on that side of Attleboro. On the opposite side, we have the development of Renaissance South going up, and I think that's going to be about another 130 units of apartments or condos. And then we also have the building across the street from the Sun Chronicle, which a lot of people have wanted to see something done with that for a long time. I met with a prospective buyer for that building. They're looking at putting in a lot more apartment units there as well. So the idea behind and the strategy of what I'd like to do is get a lot more people living in the downtown area. And when you have a lot more people living in the downtown area, you're going to have an increased foot traffic. And with increased foot traffic, you're going to have an increased demand for restaurants, coffee shops, bakeries, boutique shops, and anything else people are going to be looking for, to help supplement their life in the downtown area. So this is something that's been done in other places, and this is what's worked to revitalize other formerly mill communities, and this is something that we're doing here. So we are also retiring a lot of debt in the city. In other words, we're paying it off. And so as we pay off this old debt, we're now in a position where we can run up new debt. So a lot of people think debt is automatically bad. Not all debt is bad. The debt for a home, like a mortgage, is not a bad debt. Debt for a student loan is not a bad, because these are things that you use over the course of time and that produce returns over the course of time. So that's why you want to pay for them over the course of time. But something like the public library, or equipment for DPW or the fire department, or the roofs at Brennan and Wamsutta Middle Schools. These are all things that we are taking on a lot of new debt with, but we're not actually going to be in a bad place to do that. The two roofs at Brennan and Wamsutta are going to be about $3.9 million, maybe as much as $4 million. Those two roofs are critical to replace because they've been leaking for 20 years, and there's a lot of water damage inside, and with water damage you get mold issues, and people are breathing that in. And so these schools are only 20 years old, but if we fix the roofs, they will probably last another 50 years. The library is going to be about $7 million, maybe as much as $8 million if we run into problems. That's always a possibility. The process with the library is, the first thing we had to do was do a feasibility study to determine if it was worth keeping the library. We wanted to make sure that we had a professional come in and assess what the current needs are of the library, what are the needs going to be going forward in the future, and is that space adequate? And it turns out that yes, that space is adequate, but we have some very important work that needs to be done to the library to keep this gem of a building in the city operational and functional. So for example, the first and most important thing is to make sure that we get a roof that's no longer leaking, because that's another problem we have, is roof leaking. We have to fix some of the mortar in the bricks, kind of what's called the envelope of the building. We have to fix that up because some of that is rotting away because it's so old. So there's a lot of things that we are excited about with the rehabilitation of this building.